Okay, great. So we're live. Sorry, a little bit late, guys. A little bit of technical issues going on, as usually happens with these things. But it's good to see everyone. And tonight it's going to be a great chat, actually, because I want to catch up with Jonathan after his pro card win. And he's just had another competition yesterday as well. But first, I thought obviously everyone listening here, I think most people are going to know Jonathan anyway, but I wanted to talk to him about the road to his pro card win. And because this is a very long sort of road to travel down, even if you are just able-bodied and have no issues, no health issues, and you are just getting to any kind of level, any professional level in any sport really is a long way to go. And it takes a lot of discipline and but for Jonathan, he's had to overcome quite a few obstacles as well. So we want to talk about that as well. And then we're going to talk about exactly how he got there. I'm going to follow part of his regime and see how he trains and what his diet is really like and so on. So, Jonathan, let's start with where you started from. Okay, when you started bodybuilding, for example. Now you have I don't really want to say disabilities, but you have
conditions.
Conditions that would otherwise, for other people, I think would be very difficult to overcome. Like in any circumstance, really. Doesn't matter what they're trying to do in life, whether it's just working or, but trying to become a professional athlete at the same time, it's incredible. So we'll talk about the physical aspects of things at the moment. Now, you have some quite severe back issues. Do you want to run us through that?
Yeah. So I was playing rugby when I was about the age of 13 years old, and unfortunately, this was an international sports tour as part of our school team. I was always very athletically gifted and talented in that sense. By default, when you're quite good at something, you're playing a contact sport like rugby, you're going to get piled on by all the other competitors. So it's not just, me against one other guy. It was me against several guys every single game. We had a small team, so we didn't actually often make up all the players, which meant the game was actually illegal. Not only that, I was also playing against adults at the time. For some reason, they decided to not put us against their age-appropriate team. I was only a kid. I was still quite fit and quite lean, I guess you could say at the time. But I was by no means the person I am today, like a big and muscular sort of thing in that sense. Basically, I got an illegal tackle when I wasn't even holding the ball outside of the time of play by an adult. I still remember what they looked like to this day, and I'm sure they don't even realise the impact they had at the time.
So what happened? Like, what was the reason for this then? Like, you didn't even have the ball; it was outside of play. What was the reason for this guy even tackling you?
I think they wanted to injure me. So I was a good player. I was a lot faster, bigger, stronger than my teammates for the most part. So when you're on the pitch, it's a bit like American football. You might have a 5 against 3. You might have a defensive end and an offensive end. I was always getting piled on by 2 or 3 people at once, and I think it was deliberate. My main issue wasn't so much with the competitor themselves, the athlete. It's more so the fact that the game was allowed to continue to be played. It's illegal for adults to play a sports game against children in a competitive setting, and that includes abroad or in your own country. It's under the RFU, Rugby Football Union rules, essentially. So essentially who allowed it to be played was my head of year at the time, Mr. James Dean. I know him still. He's culpable for many series of misconduct against me. He was a jealous man. I had a better body than him as a kid than he did as a 40-year-old man. He is also the PE teacher. He allowed the game to be played. No parental signature to say we could play against adults. There's no parental or guardian sort of provision or explanation. The injury happened. I was offered, I believe it's ibuprofen at the time. I didn't take painkillers. We didn't know that when I was a kid. We weren't brought up to take painkillers. It just wasn't in our family setting. Yeah. So I didn't take it because I didn't know what it was. Anyway, I came back and I was like hunched forward for quite a series of weeks. And I went to the GP, Dr. Barge from Barton-on-Sea Health Centre, it was called at the time, so where I used to live in that area. He got me to sit on the edge of his bed. He has not his bed, his couch, his medical table.
Yeah.
I had to pull my top up, so I did. Leant forward a bit, and he put his finger along my spine and said, "Oh, you're fine. Don't worry about it. Just have a bit of paracetamol. You'll be fine." And off I went. And for years and years and years, I was going back and forth to the GP. In the end, I was prescribed opiates, which damaged my guts, which led me to having a series of gastroenteritis events. So serious gut disturbance, sore, agonizing pain. That caused me to have a herniation of my belly button, which you can see in some of my bodybuilding photos if you look carefully. Yeah. That's painful at times. It does feel uncomfortable. The main damage that's been dealt is in my lower back and the spine. So to be detailed, the condition that I was diagnosed with upon x-ray. Now bear in mind the x-ray was given to me when I was about 27 years old. A lifetime at the time for me away from the point that I had the injury itself. And I was diagnosed with L5-S1 spondylolisthesis with bilateral narrowing of the foramen or the area around the joint. So if you think you've got the brackets at the end of each of your spine, the bottom ones for me were the pedicles were snapped off, which means I had an unstable spine. Which means I was in a predicament where someone could tethered my spine sort of thing. Any point if I was badly tackled in American football in the future, if I did a bad deadlift or squat, I didn't know this. So all this damage I was doing over the years, and it was accumulating more and more pressure on my spine, and I didn't realize. Anyway, so I had the spinal fusion surgery at the L5-S1 level. So that included a laminectomy, discectomy, and a spinal fusion. So now I've got basically 2 rods and 4 bolts in my lower back. You can see in some of my photos online, if you look carefully at my lower back, I've got like little scars. There's 2 scars. They couldn't do a single scar because I have too much muscle mass, so they couldn't go through the middle. They had to cut through the muscles. Now I've got adhesions on my back, which are always sore, always painful. And some people, as a result of various different injuries that they have, can live with a condition called CRPS, which stands for Complex Regional Pain Syndrome. It is the most painful condition in medical literature, beyond amputation. I'm sorry, ladies, beyond pregnancy and childbirth. And it is a severe condition where it's not just a case of taking a pill, cutting out carbs, adding a supplement, having an injection, having another surgery. You basically live with it. And I'm now at the point where I've had it for probably, the surgery was 2024, I believe, December the 12th. So 2.5 years, something like that. Maybe 3 years nearly, I don't know. And usually what they find...
The pain's been there since you were 13 though, right?
Yeah. That's right, yeah. And usually in the studies, about 60% of people can achieve remission as long as the intervention as a result of CRPS is within a certain time frame. Mine is well out of that time frame now, so I have virtually no chance of getting better from my current state. However, the positive news, so this chat will get better, guys. I want to sort of make sure that's clear, so don't think you're watching this and it's going to be a nasty, horrible story throughout. Basically, what happened from there was obviously the diagnosis, and there's very little you can do. So I've been fortunate enough to learn from people like DC. Breathwork has been an enormous biohack, like sincerely. So I owe DC a
Oh, that's
great
good.
deal of gratitude for that, amongst other things which I'll get to throughout this interview as well. So things like breathwork, sauna, pool walking, taking pressure off my spine, reducing the gravity from my spine, having to I have to carry a pillow pretty much everywhere I go to sit down. You should often see me, like if you're at the Great British Meetup and you watch that, you came to see that, you'll see me lying on the floor, just lying on a pillow basically, because being upright for a period of time is painful. I can do it, and sometimes you will see me be upright for a long time, but I'm still suffering. It doesn't get better in that sense. So I am on medical cannabis, which I'm legally prescribed. I also use a medication called pregabalin, which is a nerve blocker. And I've been able to successfully do some of my own reading into different interventions, red light therapy, all the stuff that DC here teaches as well, and use various different supplements to help alleviate some of the problems I have. So I don't have to use a massive dose of pregabalin, and I also use significantly less medication than most people with my conditions. So conditions I do live with are CRPS, failed back surgery syndrome, and chronic fatigue, and also live with autism, which is, depends on how you look at it, both a good and a bad thing. I think if it wasn't for autism, I wouldn't be here now, to be honest. We could get into that probably as well. But yeah, so where I'm at now, I'm using things like liposomal phenylethylamide, which is a plant-derived compound, but it's got potent anti-inflammatory benefits. It's not gut irritating, it's an overall net positive supplement. Glutathione, various different peptides. Trying to think what else. Acetyl L-carnitine, a high dose of vitamin B1, which helps with nerve regeneration. There's probably a whole other stack, and I do have an ebook which I've written, which talks all about pain and stuff as well. But yeah, so that's how I got the condition itself, and what I live with day to day. And it's a real bear socially, emotionally, and my friends, family, loved ones. I know Joe might be listening to this. People that know me in a physical sense, and not just online, it can really be deleterious to our relationships. The act of going out for a family meal is hard work. I have to sit on a cushion, take medication, be blowing out my mind with like how I feel, then just pray that the meal ends quickly so I can go home and lie down. So that's how I live my life now. Yeah.
Well, I mean that is a challenge, I think, for anyone actually. Dealing when you're in a lot of pain, like constant pain, dealing with other people, and that can be a real challenge. Like honestly, that can be a huge challenge. But on top of that, you also have autism. So I can imagine that the emotional roller coaster you go through when you're trying to manage this pain and deal with people around you would be incredibly difficult at times.
Yeah, there's a level of understanding which people do give me. My mum didn't realise I was diagnosed with CRPS for some reason, even though I wrote it in a little pamphlet for her. She didn't understand at the time, so she thought I was, you're just being a lazy young man. That's why you're lying in bed all day, Joe, for example, my girlfriend, lives up in Nottingham. She's been a godsend. Honestly, she's so patient with me, and dealing with obviously autism. The great trifecta, I call it, is the chronic fatigue, the autism, and the pain. Too tired to do anything, too weak and too much pain to think about doing anything. Then autism makes it much more amplified. So the sensory side of things is a lot more challenging. But people around me can do small things to help my life become a bit easier. Something as simple as having the toilet brush, rather than having it on the floor in the corner behind something, having it next to me so I can use that. Having the loo roll not on the floor in the box, having it at a sensible level so I don't have to bend and twist as much. Things being a suitable surface. want to just bring up as well. So people may not know this, but DC was actually the person who decided to get me to have a fundraiser last year, around about March, April time-ish, I believe. Also, he collaborated with Bart Kay, who's also been very helpful, amongst some other people as well. I can't mention everyone because we're here all day. But basically, with the money that I've been able to raise through that fundraiser, I've been able to buy things which make my life just a bit more easier. I don't have much control over my nervous system. My body temperature is always significantly elevated. I feel like I'm in Mexico heat all day, every day, especially around my painful regions. So I have an air conditioning unit. I've got a fan here right now to keep me cool.
Yeah.
The things like that. So I've got a fridge in my room. I've got a freezer, so I can put ice packs in there if I need to cool down or have a different sensation going from other than pain. A mini fridge to put drinks in. Various different supplements like those I've mentioned now. So, I mean, transport as well. Sitting on a bus is agonizing, especially around these areas. There's lots of turns, sharp turns, and not very good drivers, both on the bus driver side and the civilian side. So it's a real bugbear to travel and transport publicly. So I use a lot of the money on things like transport. So an Uber, getting a taxi, I can recline the seat. I can make a request. Please don't drive over this road because there's bumps in it. Things like that. So that's what the money's going towards, just making my life a bit more bearable. And that's what money like that should go towards, in my opinion. So yeah, I just want to say thank you to DC for that, because without that help, I would not be here right now. Full stop.
No, that's just my play. I mean, that to me was just an of course thing to do. I think is, if you see someone in trouble, you try and help them as much as you can. Yeah, that's one of the best ways to start. And like you said, these are things that you need to help, just to sort of help manage your days and help you get through the day a bit. So I'm glad you are getting some or something out of it anyway. So that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So I mean, like, these are massive challenges, though. There's, but it was just a couple of weeks ago. You've actually managed to get your pro card in bodybuilding, on top of everything you've gone through. Now, are there many disabled? Well, I don't like to say disabled so much, but impaired bodybuilders,
handicaps, if you want to say.
Yeah. Like,
yes.
Is there many of them out there?
There's very few, namely because I can't speak for the others, but I'd imagine they might feel a bit of shame, maybe embarrassment. They don't want to be seen being a bit maybe withered. Maybe they've got one arm, maybe they've got one leg, maybe they can't develop a certain muscle because they've got a muscle tear or something which can't be repaired, something like that. There's very few out there. So sports provision for disabled people, in my instance, in bodybuilding, is very, very slim. It's not many out there, but unfortunately, there's a couple of bodybuilding federations which do have a mixed disability category. So I compete in the PCA and also in the IBFA in the UK.
Okay. So is that the level is that the category you compete in, or is you just compete in the able-bodied?
I compete in both if I can. I like the challenge of comparing myself to others that I have less impairment, less of a handicap. I find it makes me feel tenacious, makes me feel proud. And if I can beat anyone, that's saying something. It's like a form of platitude. It's more about the grace of going onto stage and competing against people that have had it in some regards a bit easier than you. But I do compete now in mixed disability category. So basically, if you're disabled, you're registered disabled, you can compete. So you might look like you're fine, but you might not be. So, for example, my last show, I competed not with, but there was also a lady there. She had the same issue that Lee Copus has, Kent Carnivore. So she had a bag, but she covered that bag quite tastefully using her outfit, her costume on stage. So she found a way to adapt around it and still competes. So
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's great. I mean, yeah, it's like if you're anything like me, when I see other people with like different conditions, I always kind of feel a bit sorry for them. It's like if they got a missing arm or leg or anything like that, it's kind of hard to see as well. You poor bugger, sort of thing. But I remember doing this. I was in a similar situation. I noticed this person who was having a struggle, who was struggling with things. They had a disability. Obviously, they had a missing leg or something. I felt sorry for them. And my wife, she made me realize that I was pretty much in the same boat. Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's all different levels of these sort of conditions and disabilities and things like that. But I just like when you are comparing yourself like that. Generally, yeah, okay, they have a problem. They've lost a leg, or they have a missing limb, or they have a bag or whatever. But their pain's pretty much over. Like you constantly live in this pain. This is pain is not going away. You can't cut this out.
that's right. Yeah.
So that makes it far more difficult. And I mean, I'm pretty much the same situation. You can't cut out my cancer. Like it's always trying to kill me, even though I look.
It's in your imprint. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I look pretty healthy and I look fine, and I have all my limbs. I'm very lucky that way. I can still move, or I can move again, I should say. But I have this constant thing that is trying to kill me, and it's like that's why I can sympathize with you. That pain is always there. That you can't cut that out. It's not like a diseased limb or a mole or something. This is it's there forever. So yeah, it's I think that's a far bigger hurdle to sort of overcome.
Yeah, I mean,
even on stage, you're in a lot of pain.
Yeah, I mean, the show I did yesterday, I was in a lot of pain. A lot of pain. It was a show on a beach local. It's just a fun show. We didn't do anything special for anything. But I was trying to do a side chest pose, on one side, and my right leg, it felt like I had. Imagine I had like a spear going straight from my foot into maybe my mid lower back on my right side, and I was trying to hit the pose, and I looked at the judge, and I was like, "Oh God, I'm going to get dinged for this. Like, I'm not going to get a placing for this because I can't." But I did eventually hit the pose, but it took me 20 seconds to hit it. So it's. But I see obstacles that other athletes compete against. I'm fortunate in the sense I had a lot of muscle mass and was a good bodybuilder prior to being disabled in that sense. So my start point's a lot greater than a lot of disabled competitors. But in terms of my potential to progress, I know a guy with cerebral palsy called Johnny. He's a disabled bodybuilder, really nice bloke. He can do 10, 15, 20,000 steps a day. I can do about 3,000 if I push myself, if I try. I really go for it. If I structure my day right, I think, right, I'm going to do red light therapy panel here. I'm going to get some sunlight. I'm going to relax afterwards, do some stretching, this sort of thing. So, but then, it swings and roundabouts. We can't control who we compete against or what they do or don't have against us. We can only do the best we can do. So that's why I love bodybuilding, because I have the physique that I'm trying to show on stage, and I want people to know out there, if they're watching this, that disability does not define you. It doesn't define what you can achieve or where you're going. So I want to write my own story. I don't want to be in a position where I'm stuck at home, wishing I could go out and do things. So bodybuilding for me is it's an individual sport, and it takes a 24-hour day, 7-day a week process. And I just hope that other people are able to experience a great level of achievement and self-satisfaction with what they choose to do in life. So it doesn't have to be bodybuilding. If you're watching my channel, this is not a bodybuilding channel. It's a inspirational, hopefully motivational and educational channel for people that live with impairment, any kind of health condition, or anyone, male,
Well,
female,
very
young, old,
educational
to
channel,
develop themselves.
Yeah, I mean, you're one of the best nutritionists in the world, and yeah, it's a very educational channel. You're not. I mean, this is the thing that I think should inspire people too, is that you are not relying on your story, or you're relying on your pain as an excuse to say, this is why I can't do these things. You're pretty much using it as a reason why you should do it. And I agree.
Flip the table. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, if you are diagnosed, like with me with the cancer, if you are diagnosed with cancer, I don't use that as an excuse to give up. Just use it as a reason to do something big. Like, even if you don't survive it, do something big before you go. Like, at least try.
Yeah.
And that's I think a lot of people can get out of your channel. I think it's amazing. But to get to a professional level in that sport, or any sport, I mean, yeah, bodybuilding is like, it's an individual thing. It's great. You do have to kind of rely. You pretty much, when you go into competition in bodybuilding, you're relying on the judges. Basically, it's just really their opinion of whether you're better than the next guy, sort of thing. But as you said, all you can do is your best. There's everything else, just sort of, there's nothing you can do about it. But that's just an incredible story. It really is. So now that now that we've come from your background, you've reached the professional bodybuilding level. How do you train? What is your schedule like to actually get you there?
My schedule is based around principles people like yourself and Professor Bart Kay have always said, minimal effective dose. You don't need to do more, you just need to do enough. People think that that's the lazy idea, like you're just about skimming it. No, for me, enough is when I've had enough, when my body has had enough. So for me, I define that as training in a way which is safe, conservative, but also intense, and has an area of progression and a way of measuring what I do. My typical training schedule over a week is 3 sessions, usually maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Saturday. And I like that kind of schedule, that frequency. I don't like training back-to-back days. I find that when I go to the gym, I want to have that slight, I don't know, that slight edge. Now, if I'm training every day, I'm not going to maximize it. In your head, you think, you're just checking a box. I want to be revved up and amped, ready to go when I train. I want to be thinking about it the night before, dreaming about it. I want to be thinking, using imagery in my head, thinking, all right, my back is a weak body part, or my, I don't know, hamstrings, or whatever it happens to be. I'm thinking about the exercise in my head, so I'm constantly learning that movement all day, every day, anticipating it for the next workout. So what I might do in a session is, currently I'm doing basically a legs or a lower body, a back and arm workout. I'm doing a chest, shoulder, and tricep workout. So it's a bit like push-pull legs kind of thing. So working each muscle group about once a week. I simply can't recover from two sessions per body part per week, so I don't do it. I don't prescribe to the schedules that people say online, like the optimal amount of muscle growth is by training twice per week using this split. Well, if you can't do it and you can't recover from it, that split is meaningless. So it's not so much about the programming, it's more about making sure you can achieve it repeatably, safely, and also try your hardest in each workout. So if my muscles are still sore, I'm not going to be able to try as hard because they're not fully recuperated. So I make sure that when I'm recovered, I'm properly recovered. The way you do that is making sure that you're eating enough, protein, fats. You're doing the right amount. I try to get the right amount of sleep each day. Blocking blue light, doing all the things that we should be doing to sort of maximize recovery. Because in my opinion, recovery is the bottleneck. I can get a gun and put it to DC's head right now and say, do 50 push-ups or whatever. He's going to find a way to do it. but I can't go home with him, sit next to him all day, tuck him into bed, close his eyes, make him go to sleep, get him to eat every meal at a certain sort of time of day when just make sure he gets enough food in. I can't force recovery, you know?
Yeah.
So recovery is always a bottleneck. It's a thing which people get wrong. So I emphasize that a lot of my sort of programming. So although a good program is important, it's the execution of it and your ability and capacity and understanding of how to recover from it. Because if you don't recover, you don't super compensate from that. In regards to the specifics of my training, I typically will be doing something like 6 to maybe 10 sets per workout. So I'm never doing more than 30 sets a week, ever. I track my workouts using a tracker which involves tracking the weight used, the load used, and also the time under tension. So people say, oh, you're just moving it slowly and just trying to get a pump and a burn. I'm moving it as slow as I need to make sure I've got full control of movement. So my muscles are doing all the work and not my joints. Not only that, but it means I can accurately track what I'm doing in the gym, because 1 second will always be 1 second. A 10-second lift will always be a 10-second lift. Now, if I said to DC, do 10 reps, that could be 10 seconds or it could be 5 minutes, depending on how he executes those reps. So I've found a better way to help other people to track what I'm doing. So I emphasize a lot of time tension training, but as long as that last repetition is to momentary or technical muscular failure, which is a point where you can no longer reasonably or safely do another rep without hurting yourself, basically.
Yeah. Just to point out, though, too, what we're talking about now is hypertrophy training. This is for bodybuilding. Okay, there are different methods for different things. Like strength training is a little bit different, but yeah, and recovery is often overlooked. Everyone likes to think like, oh, all the work is done in the gym, so you got to get to the gym as often as possible, and the more you lift, the bigger you get. Sort of thing. That's not the case, not at all. So most of the work happens in the kitchen and at home. You know, like eating and sleeping and so on. And you know, we both talk about hacks that we like what things that we do at home, including breath work and everything else that we've talked about before too. So it's all part of your recovery. So before we move on, do you want to just go through some of these questions and comments on the comment section?
Yeah, let's go for it. Do you have the capacity to click the screen, or is it not allowed you?
No, it doesn't allow me to do that.
Okay. I sent I think I sent an invite. You might have to check it on your end, but yes, I'll go through. So I'll just say hello to everyone. So we've got Terry listening intently, I hope. I've got the lovely Joe from Joe's Sleep and Sundown Journey. That's the beloved, the significant other I mentioned earlier. We've got DC, who's right next to me, right here. My brother from another side of the planet. We've got Jeannie running Tap 12. Thanks for joining. We've got Laney and also George as well. Purple Coconuts, if I can find him somewhere. Apologies if I can't. We've got Amanda as well. Thank you for joining. We've got Josephine. Very lovely subscriber of both of our channels. And I think I said Jeannie already. Well, there's George. And I think that's about everyone, but I'm sure there's a question somewhere. Yeah, what was the question that came up? Can you remember what it was?
Let me see. There's, I think there was a couple of Jeannie.
One from Joe.
Nightbot, thanks for posting that link for Jonathan Consults. Where are we at? A friend out there has a mobile shop. We can get a copy. Okay. Justin's got a question. How important is it to know what your enough point is? Is there something that is helped by having a coach?
Yeah, that's a good question. You might want to chime in on this one as well, but I mean, your enough point is, systemically, meaning across your whole body. If you're fatigued, you're tired, your feet feel tired, you go into bed and you just feel achy, sore, you're not sleeping well, your appetite's all over the place. That means you're probably overtraining.
Yeah.
People say there's no such thing as overtraining, but I'd suggest otherwise. Put yourself in my shoes for a day and tell me.
Well, I mean, when they say like there's no such thing as overtraining, like it just, I mean, the opposite being there's just under recovery, you know,
Yeah.
because you do. I mean, as you get fitter and stronger and so on, you do physically adapt to more training. But as long as you can recover, then you can increase that. It's like progressive overload of with anything. But generally speaking, I mean, you can especially for general population as well. Like you definitely can overtrain, and like you said, sleep if you stop sleeping, for example, you're always tired. You wake up tired. You can't sleep well. These are just very common signs of overtraining that you're just not getting the recovery that your body needs. So you either need to increase or need to improve your recovery methods or slow down your training a bit. So there's a couple of ways you can fiddle that around.
Yeah, that's right. And in regards to being helped by a coach, I mean, sometimes it's hard when you're living in your own body to really know what your body's doing. Like, I can look at my own photos from check-ins and be like, yeah, I look a bit inflamed here. But then I might ask someone else, and they're like, well, this has happened, or you've had this stress this week, or it's the hottest day of the year, you've drunk too much water and you're extended, or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the benefit is coach having a second eye. Most importantly as well is it helps you be accountable as well. So, for example, you can send in a video of that my clients can send a video of their training to me, and I can look at it and think, yeah, I think you pushed that. Compared to how you've done previous weeks, I think you couldn't have tried any harder in that one. But then I know for myself, if the next week they're saying I've got joint pain, this, that, and the other, maybe I'll manipulate their training split. Maybe their training frequency needs to lower.
Yeah.
Maybe they need to have a temporary sort of time away for a bit. Maybe they're under eating a little bit. So there's, just things like that, common sense things. But common sense is not common nowadays, and we're human. We make mistakes. So we've got to sort of have sometimes a second opinion. So I might ask my friend George, I might ask Joe, I might ask DC if I've got an issue I need to tackle that I know they've got expertise in. It's good to have that second eye. And there's always someone out there who's got more knowledge than you in some topic. If you can find those people, you can only get better. So that's my opinion on it anyway.
Yeah, and like you said, it's good to have that motivation there too, someone to be accountable to. But yeah, you're right. There's common sense sort of thing is very difficult to come by. But there's another good point there too, is that the injuries, if your joints are sore, your muscles are aching, and you start getting injured easily, these are common signs of overtraining as well. And like I said before, it might not be that you are overtraining, but under recovering as well. Like, so there could be the balance is a little bit skewed, under eating, like Jonathan said, just not doing enough of the things outside the gym as well. So like we were talking about before, like the routine it's a very like a lot more work happens outside the gym than it does inside anyway. So
yeah, definitely is a bodybuilding. When people think of bodybuilders, I think a misconception is that they go to the gym and lift weights. Yeah, that's pivotal to what we do. It's an absolute, it's a critical must. It's a need. We have to do that. But like you say, DC, it's all in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Joe, for example, I spent a couple of weeks with her recently. She'll tell you, Jonathan's in the kitchen all the time cooking his food or doing this or that, weighing his food. Like, it's a constant process. Now, with that being said, I'm not saying everyone has to weigh their food to achieve their goals. But for me, I like that sense of knowing And that sense of knowing has delivered me a professional status in the sport I love, so I can back it up. You know, so
that's right.
that's the thing. Like, you know, like you, DC, you go have these blood tests, these scans, these things. We've had loads of blood tests and scans between us. Probably been pricked more times than anyone. You know.
Yeah, that's right. Like a human pincushion.
Pincushions, yeah. So yeah, we've had all these things done, and we're using that as our metric. So my metric might be weighing my food. DC's metric towards his health is having the scan. Has a growth got larger? Has it got smaller? Is his white blood cell markers in a certain position? What's his immunological status like? So we all have a way to track what we're trying to do. It's just bodybuilding is a bit different to other people's typically. So you know, it's all sport specific or health specific. It's very individual.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's all very nuanced sort of thing. What are your goals? What are your conditions? What is your fitness ability? What is, you know, where are you starting from, sort of thing? Everything has to be sort of work for you individually. You can't just take one size fits all sort of thing either. So
yeah, completely true. Yeah, and Jeannie's got a question. So, have you received anything from these groups, even apology? I have approached them. I have been through the lawful means. Unfortunately, as of when I last checked, a solicitor will not take on my case. It's extremely complicated with a lot of people involved, and the mismanagement would implicate tens of healthcare professionals that should have known better. You know, missing things, the wrong scans, no scans, blood tests, mismanagement of medication. You know, there's been lots of medical negligence. The thing is, over here, to prove that involves 5 or more healthcare professionals on a panel saying, yes, we believe Jonathan has experienced this level of negligence. Unfortunately, no one wants to stand up. Well, the likelihood of that is very slim. So, no, I've not received an apology, not received a dime from anyone. So that's why I said I'm grateful for DC. I have, however, been very fortunate to have a very kind and loving community online, the Carnivore space, who help fundraise. Every now and then I'll get chuck some money. I mean, George himself, George is not an ultra rich man. He's not come from billions or anything. He doesn't own a private jet like Dr. Kiltz, you know. But he sent me £5 my way. That meant the world to me. So I knew that was his own hard-earned money that he grinds each day to work to earn. So that £5 would have went towards. Yeah, it's the rich man of Lazarus. That's the old biblical story. I suggest people read that. That money, for example, meant I could afford a more comfortable ride to hospital for an appointment, which meant I could then be there, not be in as much pain. You know, so in a way, you do pay to be or not be in pain. So yeah, that's the kind of help I've had. So that's why I'm grateful to community. That's why I always say, you know, thank you to people. I try to actively, you know, promote a carnivore diet. So the things that help me, I try to pass forward as best as I can. Even the content I've made recently, you know, I won't go into great detail about it because it's been and gone now. It's old hat. It's boring. I'm sick to death of it. But I made a video earlier. Was it last week or this week? Not a lot of people liked it, but I shared the truth. If you actually listen to it, there's a lot of key concepts in there which are related to nutrition and exercise, which will help people. Went through the science, backed it up, added references. So hopefully people will see it as a net positive. We can't please everyone.
That's a difficult thing.
You know,
people want it that sort of like that instant, like 5 second or like, you know, 3-minute video that gives them all the information they want, sort of thing. But it's like, you know, quite often I do a live that, you know, there's quite a lot of information in there if you're willing to sit there for the 2 hours and go through it, you know. But that not many people are actually willing to do that.
Yeah, DC's content is I say this as if I'm just talking to some guy sat next to me on the screen, so I have to agree with him. But yeah, I generally do agree. DC's content is on point. It's stellar. I wouldn't ask for more if I wanted information about the stuff he talks about. So yeah, that's kind of it. So yeah, no apology. I've not had. I get the lowest amount of PIP. I've been waiting since 2024 for the pain clinic to help me and refer me to a CRPS intervention center, a treatment center. Still waiting.
Unbelievable.
The PIP, which is a payment, like a welfare thing we have over here, like for disabled people. I get the lowest rate of that for only daily living, which is something to the amount of something like $300 American equivalent. My expenses are around £600 to £700 or £800 per month, so $900 to $1,000 per month. It costs me more than the average person in my situation to live every single month for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, when people help me out, it does go a long way. It does provide something. It's not BS. It's not, I'm spending it on, I don't know, fried chicken.
Yeah.
It's paying to make my life better quality, the quality I deserve. So it's greatly appreciated. Yeah. Other than that, so Joe's mentioned the kitchen is a constant in Jonathan's routine. He likes absolute peace in there, so he doesn't miss a macro, etc. Yeah, that's one battle I have is.
Well, actually, while we're on that, okay. Now there's many hackers. We're both carnivore. We know what the carnivore diet's about, but there are plenty of people out there that tell us that professional athletes of any sport need carbs, and especially bodybuilders. So, what's your diet like?
Yeah, good question. Yes, I eat the same foods everyone else probably eats roughly. It's just in a contest phase, it's leaner. In a mass scaling phase, it'll be fattier. I like to supplement my diet with butter as my main fat source. As I get approach to competition, I'm eating a lot leaner. So chicken drumstick fillets, 95% lean ground beef, maybe some eggs here and there, whey protein sometimes if I need to get more protein in my diet to sustain my muscle mass. All very basic foods. I don't eat pork. I don't eat fruit. So everyone always asks these things. Do you eat fruit and honey? No, I don't like them. Don't eat them. Can't tolerate them.
So, what are any carb source?
Carb sources be from dairy, so I keep it under 30 grams a day because that seems to keep my inflammatory levels at a fair level. That's through Greek yogurt, maybe stuff like that. Eggs, like a gram of carbs a day sometimes. So yeah, nothing magical about my diet. There's no unicorn dust. It's all normal foods that everyone else can access and buy at their local shop.
Yeah, so. But it's a strict carnivore diet.
Strict carnivore, yeah. So I'd say strict as in 99% of my macronutrient intake is always over the course of a year from animal foods only. I do add seasonings, stock cube here and there, stuff like that, some sugar-free sweeteners, things like that. But in terms of like the mass of my diet, it is animal foods.
Yeah. So as you get ready for competitions, you're eating leaner cuts and leaner meats. So what's it like? What are your macros like in grams? So you're a big boy. So how many grams of protein do you eat a day?
Yeah, so that varies a bit based on my digestion at the time, but somewhere between about 380 grams at the very lowest in the last week, and at the highest it's about 430 grams. So we're talking over 2 kilos. If you just to look at chicken breasts, it'd be 2 kilos plus of chicken breasts. I don't eat 2 kilos of chicken breast, but if you include eggs, whey, dairy, meat, fish, it's going to be about that much.
Yeah.
And the fat grams obviously are.
I mean, when you're
lower
taking in
over.
that much, when you're taking in that much protein, sometimes it can be easier to just drink it down with a protein shake, because it is quite difficult to eat, like to sit down and constantly eat that much protein. So how is that? How many grams of fat do you take in when you're trying to lean out then?
So I use sort of a staggered approach with my coach. So we go from, if I start say 250 grams roughly, something like that in the off season, it'll scale down. We got as low as 80 grams this year, I believe, for my last competition. The thing is, you can't sustain that for very long. You get a bit lightheaded. You can't train at that level. So it's just to get the last bit of fat off. It's not I've been on very low fat. You know, it's not a sustainable intervention. So, you know, there's obviously refeed days we use as well. So a refeed day, we simply add in maybe 50 to 80, maybe 100 grams of fat. And that'll be only at the point where my body really needs it, when sleep suffering, training performances down, stuff like that. So
okay, cool. So in your off season, it's what, 250, 300?
Yeah, I'd say that's about right. Yeah, that's a typical sort of amount. Yeah.
Okay, great. What's your favorite, like in the off season? What source? Where do you source the fat from?
It's butter mostly. It's I'll choose fattier meats. Obviously, I'm not doing 95% ground beef in the off season. It might be 90%, but I'll make up any difference with additional butter. I do the same with my clients if they tolerate it and like it, because it works easier. You know, in a pan sort of thing, things can run off. You can render. If it's in a pot, you know, all this sort of stuff can happen. So I like to try and keep the meat as the meat and the fat as the fat, like separate. So the fat is added, sort of thing. It's a bit more accurate way of doing it, I find. And also, who doesn't like butter, you know? So,
Plus when it's not rendered, like when it's rendered fat as well, it pretty much just goes straight through you. You know, like if you have a drink of water with it, you just go straight to the toilet, basically, for a lot of people. So non-rendered fat is a much better source as well, much easier for your digestion. So that's cool.
I digest it well.
Yeah. So let me see. George has got a comment here. He says, I found my enough point yesterday. Unfortunately, I was 1.5 miles from home in the middle of a forest. Okay, no choice but to grit the teeth and keep going. Right leg constantly going in and out of cramp. Okay, so he's having troubles with the cramps. How would you deal with that?
I think he's found a solution already, and he just said in a live stream earlier he's been having more salt. Well, he had a big glass of water with salt in it or something like that. So with cramping, most of the time it does seem to be a thing. You just need a bit of water with a bit of salt. That will resolve it quite a lot of the time. If it's not that, look a bit more closely at the composition of your diet. If your output all of a sudden increases, like in George's case it did, he just needs that day. He just might need a bit more food, a bit more salt in his steak, you know. It doesn't have to be too complicated. Some people can add electrolytes. They could be helpful. Some taurine maybe. But ultimately, I think if he's found a solution, I wouldn't bug with it, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you find what works for you, then don't mess with it, you know. Usually salt water, like salt is a great source of electrolytes anyway, so actually keep your balance in. As long as you're not, I mean, there's any number of reasons why you can get muscle cramps as well, like drinking too much water, for example. You're flushing your electrolytes out. Low CO2, low nitric oxide will also cause muscle cramps because it causes vasorestriction, and those are both vasodilators. Okay, so there, I mean, many things out there, but it's certainly if you are out walking and doing something and you're still getting cramps, usually more often than not it's going to be electrolytes.
So definitely. Got a question from Manda, the Carnivore Akina. She's quite a nice lady, actually. I've been coming across her quite a lot in chats recently. Jonathan, do you drink coffee? Honestly, yes. How often? Rare. Very rare. If I'm out with family, I'm more likely to have a Pepsi Max. with some ice in it, maybe in a straw. If I'm feeling like I've got a long day and I'm not overtrained, I'm not in a position where I'm gonna like desperately need to get a full night's sleep, yeah, I'll have a cup of coffee, like just a black cup of coffee. But for me personally, I'm not for or against it. I think it's a useful tool if you need it, but ideally you wouldn't drink it because it can increase your need for magnesium, to deplete your B vitamins. It's like you alluded to earlier, DC, about hydration. It's not the best form of hydration. It is bean soup. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I'll have maybe 2 cups of coffee in a day. I've not personally had a cup of coffee in at least 4 to 6 weeks now. I've not counted it. I've not checked. I've not actively tried not to. It's just I haven't fancied it, So, yes, that's my take on it. But I mean, DC, you have coffee, don't you? I think.
No, I don't drink coffee.
No, you just pure water, I guess.
Yeah.
Broth.
If I want something hot, if I want something like a hot drink or something like that, I'll just have hot water with salt. Or like a green tea. I mix with sometimes I mix green tea with some salt in a hot drink. Like in winter. But I don't drink coffee. I mean, there's a number of. I mean, this just depends on how strict you want to be, though, too. Like, and timing again is a big issue too. You don't want to drink coffee in or around food. It does also raise cortisol. What it does is it sort of it's going to put you into a sympathetic nervous state, which is going to it affects your autonomic nervous system, and that's going to raise your cortisol, and that's going to give you some other knock-on effects. There's all sorts of problems that drinking coffee can cause, but which I have written about on my Substack if you want to go and read that. But again,
that's a good article.
It just depends on how strict you want to be, what your goals are, and it does also have some other benefits, like because it does dehydrate you. Like if you're a bodybuilder, for example, it can help you get a little bit leaner as well. Some people have used it. I know Richard Smith has used it before too. So, but
it's an appetite suppressant to some degree. So
yeah, exactly.
When you're on the back end of a prep, you're 5 pounds away from your weight loss goal. Yeah, you could use it as a tool to help get you there a little bit better, maybe.
Yeah, but generally speaking, I mean, and then you've got to talk about, like, if you think about the sources of coffee as well. Coffee, like, instant coffee, for example, is cut with all kinds of anything that's brown that looks like coffee. They're going to cut it with, and that sort of stuff too as well. So I just stay away from it.
That's a fair shout. Yeah, you're not wrong to do that. You've been at this for long enough now to know what to do. So,
yeah.
A question from Joe. So, were butter and fat so controversial on this carnivore lifestyle? Or might people use too much added dietary fats? Or what happens if we don't get enough? Do you want to tackle this one first?
Yeah, sure. Let me just read that. Why are we better controversial? Why might some people use too much added dietary fats? Or what happens if you don't get enough? Well, okay. This is all very much a nuanced sort of thing too. Like, everyone's going to have to work this kind of stuff out for themselves. Like, no one's going to say, okay, wait, this is the right amount of fat for you, sort of thing. And becoming fat adapted as well can take time. It can take a year to do this. In that time too, you're going to have issues like gallbladder issues. If you have too much fat, you're going to get a lot of diarrhea, and you're going to flush out electrolytes and all sorts of things. But at the end of the day, if you are fat adapted and so on, fat is a great source of energy. And in fact, you're going to, when it comes down to the biochemistry of it, when you are fat adapted, you get a lot more ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is basically the the energy currency of your mitochondria, you get about 3 to 4 times more than you do from carbohydrates. You get 3 to 4 times more ATP from fat than you do from carbohydrates. Now, when you do that, when you are making ATP, you are also making CO2. You are also making EZ water and a few other things as well. But for me, I mean, CO2 it gives you much better. I mean, it is the signaling molecule that actually picks up oxygen on hemoglobin and actually delivers it to the cells. Right? It actually connects it and detaches it into the cells. Now, of course, there's a lot of other things that come with that, but at the end of the day, fat gives you more of all of these processes in your body that are going to give you better performance, more energy, and a lot of other benefits anyway. So again, this comes down to your goals. Like if you're, like Jonathan was saying before, trying to get leaner, you sort of cut back on the fat, all right? If you're a bodybuilder and you're trying to lean out, you might want to cut back a bit. But having said that, you can only do that temporarily. You can't do that constantly, okay? Your body needs that energy. So you're just going to have to work out for yourself what keeps you off the toilet, what keeps you feeling good, feeling energetic and strong. And when you get too far, it's very easy to tell you're going to be spending more time in the toilet. So the way you eat it can also be a problem. Like we were talking about before, if it's rendered fat, it's already broken down. It just goes straight through you. So like adding the fat later after a cooked meal, like butter, for example, that gives your body the time to break it down and to digest it more. So yeah, I mean, depends on what you're really going after, but that's my take on it anyway.
Yeah, I don't think anything you said is incorrect. I mean, like I said, we've been at this for a while now, like this whole carnivore thing. What we've kind of found, guys, is most people 2 meals a day, about protein and fat about the same grammage. The exception is when you're physically active, when maybe you train more, maybe you're sedentary. That's when you then change things. It's just the way we describe, Professor Bart K describes the protein and fat lever. You've got your protein amount, which is to sustain your hunger level, which is satiety, vitamins, minerals, amino acids. That's what that provide. Recovery for your body, skin, hair, nails. We don't have much hair, no hair, but we're still recovering. It's just
that's
us.
Right.
So we've still got to develop in some ways our own tissues. The protein amount tends to stay stable. The fat is what is used as the lever to get body composition outcomes. We had a discussion with Barbara from Grandma's Crochet's Corner, and she said, I start the carnivore diet and I just ate, like basic carnivore animal food meat, the meat with the fat as it comes. She started to lose weight. She's getting healthier and leaner, fitter, whatever it happens to be. And she said, I started to follow the influencers and increase the fat, wanted to do more healing or all this stuff, Guys, it's a buzzword they use in the carnivore space. You need it for healing. Heal what?
Exactly.
Name a tissue in the body which is healed by fat, other than the obvious, which is the turnover of sebum, oils within your skin, hormonal production, from cholesterol. Outside of that, what healing is there? Yes, DHA is used in the repair in the lining of the endothelial cell layer in your guts. But outside of that, what extra healing is it? They use this like buzzword, like it's a all-encompassing term. Like if you eat more fat, you're healing. If you eat more fat in the terms of you're not starving, then your cortisol levels will be more appropriate to you. You won't be as stressed out. But you're not going to exponentially elevate your level of relaxation and calmness and de-stressing by having 1,000 grams of fat versus 200 grams of fat. They seem to think it's the more fat you eat, your ketones go up. Yeah, you're creating a buffer or a space where your body has an excess of a substrate going through it, and therefore you're looking at this arbitrary number and saying that's what's responsible for your health. It's not the case. Watch out for these buzzword guys. So someone talks about fat and healing, unless they can provide what I've just outlined as what healing is, then forget about it. Saying that it's a lever,
Yeah, exactly. It's very much a lever, and like you were saying before, like what are you healing from? Like there are circumstances where you will have more fat than in terms of grams, and if you are calorie counting, which is just ridiculous anyway. But in terms of like if in some cancers, for example, you will lower the protein intake because that will lower the chances of things like gluconeogenesis, where you can actually grow tumors and so on, and increase the fat. But these are very nuanced sort of, if you have a condition like that, then yes, this has been proven to help and be very effective. And there are some clinics in Europe that are using that, like some of them have up to 90% fat. Yeah.
I don't believe that it's the potential reduction of gluconeogenesis which is responsible for the reduction
I'm not really sure.
of tumors.
It's really
got a different view.
Okay. Well, I think it's not so much I think it's really just to take away any other kind of foods, like
it's the autophagy. It's the less stuff going in your body. Your body has to deal with less stuff so it can fight off the bad stuff and get rid of the excess, which is inflammatory as a result, causing cancer. That's what I personally think it is. I think the gluconeogenesis thing is better stated.
I definitely agree with that. Yeah, definitely.
The problem with
definitely agree with that.
In the chat with Rick I did yesterday, we're talking about. He's saying, I get the meat sweats if I eat too much protein. Yeah, you eat too much protein, it's a stress to the system. Yeah. You've got more blood pooling to your guts, dealing with the digestive process, less from your brain. Your brain recognizes that reduction of energy, blood, therefore creating a stress response to your body. Your heart rate will elevate. If you're more stressed out, you're more probably more likely to have a growth of tumors and cancers and things. So that's where I think the problem is. So it's not so much, in my opinion, I'm not a medical doctor and there isn't really research on this, but I don't think it's that having enough protein is a bad thing. I think having a bit less is probably stimulating autophagy a bit more. I think having too much is the problem, where you're overstressing the body, overburdening, and you're potentiating the other things within your intake, which could fuel cancer growth.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That certainly makes sense, because there's a lot of, this is actually something, this is another thing about the carnivore community too, is that like some of these buzzwords like eat like it's your job sort of thing. They're loading and so on. There are a lot of processes that, including if you are constantly eating and your body is constantly trying to break down this food, doesn't even if you're on carnivore diet, there are processes in your body that rely on a fasting period. Okay, and it doesn't have to be a very long fasting period, but when you are overworking your lymphatic system, for example, you inhibit. Not only do you inhibit autophagy, but there are other things that rely on that, including the production of white cells and your immune system. So you can, even though you're eating a lot of food, you can actually be quite detrimental. Yeah, you can actually be down regulating your immune system, okay, and your hormone production, including testosterone, things like that. So this can be a problem. This will make you sick. So I mean, that's that part there. That like you're saying with the cancer, like just even eating less protein. I think that's probably a very good point because fat is more
Harry's of
satiating.
the same mind as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fat being very satiating. You can eat less, have more time fasting, and that sort of cleans up the system, and it also boosts your immune system. So
Yeah.
these are this is what it sort of drives me nuts when usually we've got to load before we do a fast sort of thing. Like why not just eat like on a regular basis until you feel like not eating
Mass
anything?
balance model, 7
Yeah,
days a week. Are you
yeah,
anabolic? Are you catabolic? If you're anabolic from priming, eating 20 million grams of fat and protein a day, well, I'm going to do a 2-day fast now. Well, if your net balance of nitrogen, net balance of IGF-1, net balance of all these cascades of hormones, anabolic, catabolic, NPK, mTOR, or upregulated, downregulated, which angle is that curve going in? You know,
yeah,
because you could be doing you could do a 6-day a week fast. 1 day a week you could eat 10 days worth of food. You go
yeah,
backwards if your goal is autophagy.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
people don't
And
think
that's
bigger
like I said, like
picture.
it's not
It's
just
not
about
short.
autophagy either. You know, your body relies on these fasting periods for you to actually boost for your immune system to get stronger and so on. And like this is something that this is something I've been working on for a long time, for the last 11 years, trying to get my immune system to be strong enough so that I could go out in
Yeah.
public and do things. You know, like this is not something you want to do. You don't want to overeat like that. It doesn't matter if you're carnivore or not. It's a very silly thing to be doing.
We've got a commenter here we might be able to help with. I believe it's a friend of Joe's. Lovely person, not a troll comment or anything.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm still struggling with the horrible cramping in my legs that wake me up. Magnesium spray helps. I have to watch my sodium because of high blood pressure. Last sentence. What are your
Okay.
thoughts?
Yeah, like salt doesn't raise your blood pressure. I mean, um, insulin will pull salt into the blood, and it'll give you like a high sodium sort of reading in your blood test sort of thing if your insulin levels are high. Um, I think that's how it works. But yeah,
Sure, yeah.
salt doesn't raise your blood pressure. Okay. There are, like I was saying, cramps. The magnesium spray helps. So obviously you have probably a magnesium problem intake. You may be drinking too much water, okay, which will be flushing out your electrolytes. This is a common problem that a lot of carnivores have.
The bottles with
They
the hours of the day.
Yeah, yeah, like
Mm.
we are not meant to be drinking 8 glasses of water a day. Okay, this is a ridiculous notion. Like like a couple of weeks ago, I did a 3-day dry fast. And I was very comfortable. I didn't drink any water or eat any food. We do not need that. Okay, think about desert people as well. This is something I talk about a lot as well.
Kalahari.
People,
Yeah.
yeah, the people who survive in the deserts, okay, there's no water or very little water around. They don't carry a lot of water around with them. Hunters and gatherers that, like in Africa, still do not carry water when they go out hunting and so on. They eat fat, okay, because like I was saying before, fat produces a lot more ATP, CO2, and EZ water, which is the water that our metabolic water that we produce ourselves in our mitochondria. Okay, so there's another good reason why carbs are not good for you, because it's much
Deuterium.
lower,
Yeah.
deuterium and much lower in the water and so on.
Yeah.
But I think that the biggest problem for most people is that they drink too much water on the carnivore diet. They flush out all their electrolytes and so on. Um, if you have blood pressure problems, okay, there's that's a lot of that's going to be, it could be due to just your autonomic nervous system as well. Breathwork will help you with that, cold showers and so on. But at the end of the day, I would probably cut back my water and increase. Maybe you could even try increasing your fat intake, and
One more.
there are breathing is another thing too. CO2 is often a cause, or low CO2 levels is often a cause of cramps as well. Anything you'd add to that?
The biggest one you mentioned was obviously the elevated blood glucose levels. High carbohydrate diet is going to cause more blood pressure problems. Give me, as a long-term carnivore, 1,000 grams of carbs. My blood pressure will rise. But with those 1,000 grams of carbs, what usually comes with carbs? I'm eating a bowl of mashed potatoes with pasta and whatever, sweets, crisps, potato chips, salt. More salt, more water, more muscle glycogen, more stress in the kidneys, inappropriate flow through the glomerular filtration system, elevated blood glucose which elevates insulin, which means you store more, which means you've got more pressure on your body, more pressure for your heart, more weight for your body to carry around. But the biggest indicator outside of that would be potassium levels.
Yep.
So, i.e., potassium levels will be lower in a deplete diet. So, a diet of a lot of processed food, not much potassium in it. So, if Mia could eat more I don't know her diet. I'm not just speculating, but unprocessed food. So, whole meat is going to be your best bet.
Yep.
That's going to contain as well taurine, which is an osmolyte. It's I guess you could say an amino acid you find within meat, which will help regulate your fluid balance in your body. All that being said, if you're on medication, be wary. These things can interact. Don't just say, "Oh, Jonathan said take 20 grams of potassium a day." I didn't say that. I said eat more unprocessed foods. Supplement with taurine. Try finding out what dose might be right for you. But they're the two things I'll be at. The breath work and stuff is also additive as well. So all the things you mentioned, DC, are bang on.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like we're just speculating here. We're not saying exactly like do this because we don't really know your health conditions or situation, Mia. So this is just pure speculation. But I do have a video called the 8 habits that saved my life. You go through those 8 habits. This is going to help you with everything, especially blood pressure problems and things like that. Help you to control your autonomic nervous system and so on. And of course, like Jonathan said, like cut out the ultra processed food, the biggest problem of blood pressure. But the cramps, again, you're like potassium. I think it's just your body's not holding on to your electrolytes, but that's like I said, just too much water. And but again, we're just speculating. So.
Yeah, sounds think she's had a big weight loss journey. She's not carnivore, but actively looking to eat more meat, which is good.
Yeah.
Try and get your carbs down a bit lower if you can. If you're having, again, speculation, if you're having to try and interpret what we're saying and back it into your own pigeonhole situation. If you're having 3 meals a day and every meal has carbs, take carbs out the first meal maybe. You'll get an instant, weight drop from that. That will lower the stress in your heart, your body, your kidneys. Kidney disease is huge. Yes. Absolutely huge.
Yeah. So. Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many different causes of for it as well. I think like if you're still eating carbs, for example, I think like the easiest way to transition for most people is to eat the meat first. If you find that it doesn't matter what meal you have, if you eat the meat first and you become satiated, then you're obviously you're going to have less room or less, you're less inclined to eat the carbohydrates and the other stuff around it. So just pile up the meat and eat that first and see how you go.
Yeah, and Mia, if you're looking for another little tip, like we got a million tips between us. DC and I've been working together for a long time. I mean, cook up a few boiled eggs, pickled eggs, chuck them in the fridge. make some egg mayo, but try not to use seed oils. Use butter and protein and fat. Reduce your carbohydrate intake. If it's not a whole food, don't eat it. Don't put it down your gullet.
Yeah,
Have a big
exactly.
plate of meat in the top part of your fridge, somewhere you can see it and think, So after you've had your meal, oh, I'm a bit hungry now. I fancy dessert. Don't think go for the dessert. Think there's a bit more meat there. I'll eat a few more bites. Eventually, those bites of meat will stop tasting nice. That's when you
Yeah,
know you've eaten enough. You're giving your body that bliss point. So chase your body's natural, internal, innate hunger signals, not the brain signals, not the
the
sensory.
craving.
All that was nice. You shouldn't be thinking food was nice. You should enjoy it, but you should be eating it until you no longer have that interest in it. So when that
Yeah,
bowl of chicken breast or salmon fillet or whatever you like, tuna, looks a bit like, I don't want to eat it, put it down. You've had enough. That's your brain saying, stop there.
yeah, that's a good point. Like you have those sort of snack size bites, like boil some eggs in the fridge, have them handy, sort of thing. It's very easy. I think that's one of the biggest triggers for most people is that this is what I keep telling people. It's convenience and comfort that's killing us. Okay, because it's really easy and convenient and comfortable to just go and grab that packet or something, the packet of chips or the chocolate or because it's just easy to eat. I just unwrap it and I can eat, sort of thing. But if you
Mm.
got things like eggs or even like little small cuts of meat, like small cubes of meat, sort of thing, just sitting in the fridge, it's easy. Just
Turkey,
okay,
turkey shoots. Yeah,
yeah, mm, yeah, that's a
yeah,
good
that's
way to
that's
do
it,
it.
Mia. So the carbs still causing the cramps. Your carbs are most certainly causing the cramps.
Yeah,
The more carbohydrates you need, the more magnesium you need, the more vitamin B1 you need,
yeah,
which means you'll become more depleted and more likely to experience deficiencies of those. Hence, why the magnesium spray is helpful. If
yep,
you decrease your carbohydrates a lot, you might need to spray your magnesium spray a bit less. So, um,
mm.
this one from Joe: how about small chunks of aged cheese before bedtime? Might that help? I have my own answer. What's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I have heard like some people do have um they have found that a bit of carbohydrates before they sleep have helped them to sleep. Um, but I think cheese, it could be satiating for you. It's pretty fatty, so that could help you with any sort of hunger signals that you might have before you sleep. Some people use butter as well,
That's what I
because
recommend.
that's
Yeah.
very satiating as well. Take a spoonful of butter or something before you sleep. Depends on what your sleeping pattern's like. Um, I don't think it's anything bad. I mean, again, it comes down to what your goals are, but I don't think there's anything detrimental, like too detrimental about it. And depending on the size of the amount of cheese you're talking about as well. Like, you don't want to sit there and eat,
Yeah.
half a kilo of cheese, you know?
We've got to be so careful, DC.
Yeah.
DC and Jonathan said eat a load of cheese before bed, so I had like 4 ounces.
Yeah. Yeah. As it's
Wow.
actually there was a stupid on the ABC here in Australia. That they have their go-to sort of specialist doctors, and they're not really doctors, just TV doctors. But it was talking about the carnivore diet, and this guy in Australia who had you might have seen in the news, like he had cholesterol actually coming out through the pores in his skin, but he was eating like 4 pounds of cheese a day. Like who the hell can eat 4 pounds of cheese a day?
I knew a Dutch bloke that could eat a pound of cheese a day, a parmesan, but he was like a strength trainer and a postman. He
Yeah,
was 20,000
very
steps a
active.
day.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
kind of, yeah, you kind of get that.
big boy too.
Um,
Yeah,
my only point of contention with the cheese itself is it's high in calcium.
yeah,
Calcium can displace magnesium. Magnesium
yeah,
is a NDMA agonist, which stimulates GABAergic production in the body, helps secretes melatonin, and is therefore less likely to be calming, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
but she does. But knowing jokes, I believe she does take magnesium before bed. So maybe she's mitigating that. But I like to look at like Harry. I look at like what's in the food. What vitamins, minerals, amino acids are in it? What omega-3, omega-6 ratios in it? Is that appropriate for that time of day? Is that going to provide that cortisol lowering response? Is it going to stimulate the body? You know, what's it going to do? It's like even before my before stage day, I know myself. I digest skinless, boneless chicken fillets, chicken drumstick fillets better than ground beef. So before my show, I'm eating chicken, not beef usually. So it's not that. But people say, but beef's going to be more nutritious, more. My body's not going to be able to do much with an extra few milligrams of iron and B12 before going on stage in an hour's time. Like, you know, it's context specific. So I like to make sure I got the whole picture of something before I suggest.
That's a good point. And
you know?
like you said, it does displace things like magnesium and things like so. Do you think that could? I mean, that could be a source of muscle cramps as well, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I mean, what I'd encourage people to do is look at there's a wheel you can find online, and there's a different minerals have a negative and a positive chelation factor, which means they'll either help or negate a mineral from being absorbed effectively. So, you know, like vitamin C and iron, they're synergistic. Vitamin C and zinc and copper, they're antagonistic. There's a ratio within the body. So we think of Paul Saladino. I've got heart palpitations because I was eating 20 million bull testicles a day with 1,000 grams of copper in it. Well, no shit, Sherlock. You've taken out all the zinc from your body. Your copper levels are out the fucking roof. And that's probably displacing everything else. Your gut's probably with dysbiosis because you've got an irregular
the liver king
alkali balance.
Absolute idiot.
Yeah, you see what I mean? So it has to be. Obviously, I'm looking at very nuanced things here. Like this, I mean, having cheese with your beef before bed isn't going to kill you. It's not going to ruin your life. But when people have like refined everything, they've got to that last little bottleneck. We need to look at these things a bit more carefully, I think. Mia, send me an email for a consultation if you like. Just check my website out. It's on the screen here below, carnivore-muscle.com. But do affordable consultations. I promise you won't find a greater depth of information in regards to your health problem outside of going to someone that is specifically a GLP-1 specialist, in my opinion. So, yeah, I'd be happy to help you if you'd like. I take magnesium supplements as well each day. I feel a lot better after I take it. That's good to hear. Yeah. And also, please, if you're watching this on my channel, subscribe to DC here. He does put out really useful information. Honestly, anyone that actually sits down and watches his content, you know, he has like free articles online, things you can actually read and look at yourself if you don't want to listen to something. They're so useful. You think, oh, but it's only a small YouTube channel. It's like, it doesn't matter. All the best ones are. Harry's got like 4,000 subscribers. Rick's got like 4,000 subscribers. I'm a bit of a bigger channel, but at the start I invested so much time into making my channel bigger. DC, for some reason, he's fallen for the cracks. So, you know, we'd support him and make sure his information that is very good gets out, because the last thing I'd want, you know, a year down the line is for this to be squandered, this opportunity. So make sure you subscribe to DC.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I haven't had I think is that me or is it? I had the weight of me. I haven't had a day off in weeks since I need to pay for surgery bills and being off work so long. You understand how that is, I'm sure. Oh yeah. It's hard. Yeah, I mean, life, isn't it? It really is.
This is Donna Ray, lovely lady from the US. She's an athlete as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she does a lot of hula hooping at the moment. She's forgive me if I'm wrong, I think she's a lady in her 60s or 70s. She's got a YouTube channel. She's doing a lot of collabs and just showing people what she does. Like, it's quite inspirational, actually. So
cool.
Nice lady.
Okay, check it out.
Yeah. Wait, what's the script, brother?
Oh,
Should we
thank you,
bugger off
man.
now?
Appreciate that.
I think we've done about enough today. Put the world to right. I've bitched and moaned
Yeah, I
about
think
being in pain all
we've
day.
done
So.
yeah, I think it's pretty good. Okay, so I think we've pretty much gone through everything. So just one last question for Jonathan.
Sure, yeah.
All right, so you've hit the pro card. You've got your pro card now. What's the next big thing for you?
I guess just continue to bring the pain.
Yep.
So the next show for me will be in October the 18th. That'll be the PCA Mixed Disability British Finals. After that, 1 week later, the 25th, I believe, will be the IBFA British Finals Mixed Disability. So next year, I've actually qualified for the first professional mixed disability competition ever. So hopefully I can compete in that and win that. I believe it will be in the later part of the year. But as a professional, I imagine that the prizes will be a bit better. Hopefully,
Yeah,
might win
well,
like a tub of protein or something.
yeah, you'd hope so. Yeah.
Once I won a tub
never
of
really
cream
big,
of
are
rice, and I was like, "What am we going to do with
they?
that?" Nowadays, they give you carbs rather than protein.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. I appreciate that comment. Yeah, I mean, I've actually there's some funny stuff, like in Japan, like Ninja Warrior is very popular in America and Australia and the UK. They have very big prize money. Like in America, it's like $1 million prize money, and here it's like $500,000 or something. In Japan, they get like a 6-pack of bottled water. That's it. They don't get anything for it, really.
It's good water. It's probably not even low deuterium. It's probably from like a tap out of some guy's back garden.
Yeah, pretty much. Just something you can get from a convenience store,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's classic. But I mean, they're great athletes, and they call it Sasuke in Japan, but it's it's brilliant. They're very, very dedicated athletes. They really don't get anything for it. It's really just the satisfaction of competing.
Same for me. Like I've said before, like it's about the yardstick, that constant pursuit of greatness. Like, do you remember Bart Chaos? That like, what's so special about a pro card? Then I was like, well, quite a bit actually. Like, sort of list all the things. But Bart doesn't like bodybuilding. I know why. It's fair enough why. I understand like the health implications because of it and things like that. But at the end of the day, I'm pushing forward a thing that is challenging. It proves a point. I'm doing it in a much more healthful manner than most people are, in my opinion. So at least then you can see this is possible. It's possible.
That's right. I mean, you're breaking barriers in a lot of aspects too. Like, people with disabilities have conditions. I mean, you make no excuses for these conditions. You're still doing it. There's that. You've also proven that you can be, and not only be a professional athlete, but become a professional athlete on a 0-carb diet or a very low carb diet. Okay. You're also proving that you are an expert in your field. Like, you've made a professional career out of with using nutrition that you're a health consultant yourself. I mean, this just works for you. It's like another notch in the belt that proves that you know exactly what you're talking about.
It's proven concept. The same with your relationship with Lainey, your friendship, what you've done for yourself. People come to me like, "Oh, carnivore diet, cancer." No. Red meat and cancer. They're saying, they're associated. Well, this guy says otherwise. He's proving it. It's not just like, oh, just by chance, it happenstance. No, he's literally dismantling it piece by piece, proving what's achievable.
That's right. Yeah.
Well,
that's right. I mean, it's not just a happy sort of like circumstance. Like, everyone, like, just you don't just get lucky with this stuff. You don't just get up on stage and get lucky. Like you like with you. There's a lot of work involved, a lot of stuff in the background that we do that shows. The process.
The harder we work, I say this, the harder we work, the luckier we get.
exactly.
It's like magic, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you create your own luck, doesn't it? Yeah. So
yeah,
that's exactly the point.
we are all. This is another discussion for next time. Maybe magic.
Yeah.
Magic does exist. It's what we create. It's what we manifest.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah. Exactly.
Thanks very much, also everyone in the comment section for the very polite thank yous and joining us today. This lovely discussion and chat. Also, I'm grateful for DC. I'll always support his channel and please support him as well. Subscribe to his stuff.
Thank you,
there's
brother.
not many good people out there in our space that, you know, like you're a bit more, I don't know, well, a bit less nutty version of Rick, but you're still crackers. You still got a duck.
Yeah.
Is it Louis?
Yeah. So yeah, a little less crackers, but yeah, only a little bit. Yeah.
Excellent.
No, Rick's great there. Yeah. Oh, it's been a great chat, man. I really actually I look forward to the next one. Maybe we could talk about gaining.
Talk about you, because we was talking about bodybuilding and stuff. Let's talk about you and your sort of journey. Well, I don't do interviews. I haven't done interviews, but I'd like to interview as my first as of recent.
Oh, that's cool.
All about your health hacks, your journeys, what you look at, what things mean a lot to you, what you think things push your health forward, and give people a bit of a taste of your info.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Nice one.
All right, everyone. Cheers, everyone.
Right, end it there. Cheers, guys. I live with a condition called CRPS, which is the most painful condition known to man, and also suffer with autism and chronic fatigue syndrome. I've been having a hard time recently, and I'm reaching out for help. If anyone is able to support me, it'd be much appreciated. And it is for a Give, Send, Go link, which I'll link below this video. Thanks very much, and enjoy the rest of this clip.